Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at another one of the newly buffed Pokemon in Season 16 of Go Battle League, and that is Shadow Gligar. Shadow Gligar actually gets two buffs. Not only does Aerial Ace now cost less energy, but its second charge move Dig was massively reworked. It now costs way less energy and has a lot better damage per energy. I tested it out in some battles, and honestly, Shadow Gligar makes a compelling case to be one of the best flyers in the Open Great League, right alongside Mandibuzz. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out the newly buffed Shadow Gligar in action. Hopping into the first match, sending Shadow Gligar into Carbink. And Shadow Gligar, one of the advantages to running it is one of the only flying types that can actually stay into a Carbink lead due to that ground subtyping. And as you can see, Dig is now way cheaper to get to, but still does a lot of damage even against a monstrously bulky Pokemon like Carbink. Speaking of bulk, Gligar does have a pretty significant bulk advantage over Gliscor, so now that it has a way better moveset, I imagine Shadow Gligar is actually going to be preferred to Gliscor going forward. My opponent, they're staying in this matchup, and I have a feeling that Shadow Gligar's energy will be useful, so I decide to double shield. I'm looking to farm up. Opponent is going to save switch into Medicham. It's tempting to throw that energy, but I'm going to save all that energy for later and instead send in the hard counter that is Sableye. Sableye is going to be able to withstand whatever moves Medicham throws. I overfarm quite a bit, and I'm going for the foul play to get the KO. My opponent still has the Carbink alive, and Carbink is a complete wall to energy from Sableye. The good news for me is that Carbink had to deal with Shadow Gligar, so it's taken a massive amount of damage. I'm looking to overfarm with the Sableye and go for the foul play here. Foul play, you might think KO's here, but Carbink is massively bulky. In the back, they have Venusaur, and the opponent was triple weak to Shadow Gligar. I have the back-to-back Aerial Aces loaded, and I just get to apply so much pressure onto the Venusaur here. Aerial Ace number 2 gets the Venusaur low. Venusaur gets the farm down, but the Sableye will be able to secure the win, taking down the Venusaur, and for game 1, we don't even need Ferrothorn. We've got a battle of flyers in the next match, Shadow Gligar into Golbat. I'm going to stay in this matchup and fire off the Aerial Ace before they make the Shadow Ball. Due to the bulk of Shadow Gligar, I can withstand a Shadow Ball, so even if they full send, that's perfectly fine by me. Opponent baits with the Poison Fang, they save switch into Dubwool, and this is a problem. My backline is weak to Dubwool, so I'm going to stay in here, go for the Shadow Dig. That does big damage, farm up, switch, and catch the Body Slam onto Ferrothorn where it is going to be resisted. That is a massive catch. I can save a little bit of energy on the Gligar if I need it, and I can make the Power Whip before they make it to the payback. Putting pressure on the opponent, they're going to commit a shield. Dubwool, farm it up, and a payback will get the Ferrothorn low, but importantly, it will not be enough to KO. Ferrothorn able to make it to another Power Whip. Now the opponent already down a shield, probably not going to want to give up their second, so they will let the Dubwool go. In comes the Golbat. Golbat is going to get some big farm though. This is where things are going to get a bit dicey. I'm going to send in the Sableye. I have a tough call to make. Bait or nuke. I shield. It's the nuke. Shielding that Shadow Ball is massive. I'm going for the foul play. Opponent makes a catch onto Credilli. And from here, I should be in a pretty good spot. Credilli did get a buff last season. There was high hopes that it would emerge as a core breaker for the many Lantern and Noctowl teams, but unfortunately, Credilli didn't end up seeing as much usage as we had hoped. I'm able to make it to the back-to-back foul plays here, and that's basically just going to ensure the win. Foul play will be shielded, opponent not able to get the farm down, as Sableye will be able to secure the KO with the foul play. And now, I can send in the Gligar, and Golbat, unfortunately, just running out of HP here. They fire off the last second Poison Fang, but Shadow Gligar secures the win. Picking up a great lead in the next match, Shadow Gligar into Registeel. Registeel is fully walled, opponent is going to save switch into Dubwool, and Dubwool save switches are proving to be incredibly awkward for this team to deal with. My opponent builds up to the payback, and they go for it, able to connect, and that does quite a lot of damage. I do need 2 moves to KO here. My plan is I'm just going to stay in here, fight for switch advantage, and then put the Sableye onto the Registeel in the endgame. Firing off the Aerial Ace, that's going to connect onto the Dubwool, but Dubwool will get farmed down by Wing Attack. So now I have a Gligar that's pretty healthy. Opponent is going to send in a Shadow Kanto Ninetales, and suddenly I'm realizing my Ferrothorn is useless. So I'm going to bait with the Aerial Ace, send in the Sableye, and I need to start shielding things. Unfortunately, my Ferrothorn can basically do nothing against their remaining Pokemon. Opponent goes for the Scorching Sands, that is Ninetales' new move, and back in comes the Registeel. I'm gonna need to protect the Sableye, as I desperately need this Sableye to win me this game. I'm farming up and firing off the Foul Play into the Registeel. Registeel will be able to withstand that damage, and Zap Cannon will be lethal from this range. So I am going to be committing the shield as the Sableye. They go for the Zap Cannon, and my attack gets debuffed as well. That is not great, and now I'm going for the Foul Play. Foul Play into the Registeel. Will grab the final shield. I switch into the Ferrothorn. Did I catch the Zap Cannon? No, I catch the Focus Blast. Ninetales gets the farm down. I'm going to send back in the Sableye. Sableye wins CMP over the Ninetales. And with that, despite a very big scare from a Ninetales in the endgame, we are able to take the win. We've got a battle of buff Pokemon in the next match, Shadow Gligar versus Shadow Steelix. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start, but I will eventually need to switch out of here, because Shadow Steelix, since they are a Breaking Swipe user, they get a guaranteed debuff on my attack every time they use the move. So they're just going to stay in here and continue to apply more and more debuffs. I don't really want to let that happen, so I'm going to save the Gligar for later and send in Sableye. But unfortunately, I'm behind on energy. They're able to outpace and make the Breaking Swipe. And Breaking Swipe and the corresponding debuff means that I'm now not going to be able to KO with the Foul Play here. Steelix will be able to withstand that damage, and they will be able to outpace the Sableye. And unfortunately, I just lose my entire Sableye. So I still have both shields, but I've lost over half of my Gligar and the Sableye. Steelix with Breaking Swipe is an absolute force to be reckoned with. My only hope now is just sending in Ferrothorn, farming down, leaving with 100 energy, and hoping that Ferrothorn can do well in the back. Ferrothorn gets the farm down at 100 energy. Opponent sends in Medicham. I switch into Gligar, and in the back, it's Sableye. I go straight for the dig, but honestly, double Aerial Ace was the better play here, as I can guaranteed get to 2. My opponent is going to force a shield, but them throwing allows me to get a wing attack through, and that's very important, as now I can make it to the Aerial Ace, and this will grab the final shield, or more likely, KO the Sableye. In comes the Medicham. Medicham gets the counter down, and now it all comes down to this. Can a 100 energy Ferrothorn defeat Medicham? Power Whip will connect. I throw one Bullet Seed and my second Power Whip. This will be grabbing the shield from the Medicham. The question is, can Ferrothorn withstand the counters? It looks like the answer is yes. Medicham fires off the charge move, but I have the shield remaining. Ice Punch gets shielded, and I make the Power Whip. And against all odds, despite that terrible start to the game, we get the win. We've got a battle of shadows in the next match, Shadow Gligar versus Shadow Sableye. I'm going to stay in this matchup, as I don't really want to save switch into my own Sableye and then be down on energy. So I'm going to commit the shield, look to overfarm quite a bit, so I can bait a dig, but actually go for the Aerial Ace here. Dig with just one shot, so I'm expecting a shield. Opponent calls the bait, and then I make a second mistake. I should have just gone for the second Aerial Ace there. I'm misplaying, and now I'm down both shields right away. So I have switch advantage, but I'm not in a great position. Opponent sends in Charizard, and I'm about to get swept by a Charizard. I fire off the Aerial Ace. It's a Shadow Charizard as well. Oh my goodness. I'm firing off Aerial Ace number 2. Charizard lets that go. Charizard tries to farm down, but the buff to Aerial Ace means that Shadow Gligar makes one final charge move, and I'm able to grab a shield. The unfortunate thing here is I need to fully sacrifice the Ferrothorn to have a chance. I can never Bullet Seed down, so I have to preserve my only way of getting rid of the Charizard, and that is Sableye. In comes the Stunfisk, and this is going to be very tough. I fire off the Foul Play. 2 Foul Plays are not enough to KO. I'm going to need a lot of Shadow Claws as well. They are throwing the Earthquake. After this, they're 5 away from the Rock Slide, so I throw 5, throw the Foul Play on the CMP tie. It all comes down to this. Does the Foul Play KO the G-Fisk? It does not. G-Fisk with 1 HP remaining KOs the Sableye, and that's game over. Hopping into the next match, picking up a terrific lead, Shadow Gligar into Toxapex. Honestly, my entire team does pretty well into Toxapex, but interestingly enough, my opponent is staying in what is a pretty bad matchup for them. That keys me into the fact that they are probably pretty weak to Shadow Gligar in the back. Shadow Gligar, not only is it massively improved with its buffed moveset, But on top of that, its unique typing does make it so that it is core breaking a lot of teams. I'm overfarming quite a bit, and from here, Aerial Ace will be lethal. Aerial Ace into the Toxapex does get shielded, so I decide, you know what, I'm going to save the Shadow Gligar. They're very clearly weak to it in the back, so I'm going to catch the Brine onto Sableye. And now we see exactly what they were hiding in the back as in comes Chestnut. Chestnut will fire off the Frenzy Plant. I'm going to commit the shield here. And I'm going to farm up past the return to the back-to-back foul plays. Foul play is resisted, but I believe 2 foul plays will be enough to KO. So that way, even if they shield one, I still get some chip damage. I go for foul play number 1. This second foul play should KO the Chestnut. Chestnut lives on 1 HP. That's got to be a super high-ranked Chestnut there. And Frenzy Plant will get the KO. I can send in Ferrothorn and get a Bullet Seed advantage in terms of energy. Opponent not going to want to send in the Toxapex. They're going to send in Sableye. I'm farming up and firing off the Power Whip. Power Whip will hit for some very nice damage into the Sableye. Sableye is going to let that through. And the nice thing is Ferrothorn will pretty comfortably be able to take a foul play. So they're going to fire off the foul play. I can make it to another Power Whip. Opponent sends in Toxapex, and I decide to fire off the Power Whip. Power Whip is going to be lethal, and here I definitely make a misplay. What I should have done was just stay in with the Ferrothorn, make it to the Power Whip, and then I can switch and combo play with the Gligar. But instead, by switching into the Gligar right away, I give the Sableye extra farm. Thankfully, the Sableye was not able to reach back-to-back foul plays, but the way that I played it was definitely not ideal, and if energy was slightly different, if they had more residual, could have potentially cost me the game. So, we do get the win, Gligar's awesome, but I definitely could have played that better. Great lead in the next match, Shadow Gligar into Defense Deoxys. Deoxys, of course, these counters are single resisted, and they're forced to go for Psycho Boost if they want to deal any meaningful damage. They go for the Psycho Boost. Opponent now going to save switch into their own Shadow Gligar. I'm firing off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace will connect, and now I decide to send in Ferrothorn. I'm going to be able to tank the Dig here, Dig only hitting for neutral, even though it is a pretty solid move now. As you can see, that does quite a lot of damage. I'm going to farm up and fire off the Power Whip just before they're able to make it to the Aerial Ace. Power Whip into the Gligar will get the KO. And now if my opponent sends back in the Deoxys, which they do, I'll be able to make it to the Power Whip just before they're able to get the farm down. Power Whip not going to threaten a knockout. Deoxys can let this go, but the important thing is it's now potentially in Aerial Ace range. But, of course, I do have the Sableye, so I can just send in the Sableye here after waiting the clock. In comes the Sableye. They're going for the Thunderbolt here, just looking to get some chip damage, and then we'll see what they have in the back. Thunderbolt connects. Deoxys banks a Psycho Boost in the back. It's Shadow Steelix, and this is really, really bad. Oh my goodness, this is not what I was hoping to see, as I've saved all these shields, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get to use them. I'm firing off the foul play. Opponent will commit the shield. I send in Gligar. I think the only win con is to bait. I have to be able to withstand these Dragon Tails, and I get the shield. That is absolutely massive, but Steelix will be able to start getting those shields from me with their Breaking Swipes. They're firing off another Breaking Swipe. I'm now one wing attack away from the Dig. This is going to be close, but the switch timer comes up and the opponent makes the perfect combo play. Psycho Boost KOs the Gligar, and unfortunately Sableye is just not healthy enough, and Shadow Steelix farms down. Hopping into the final match, leading Shadow Gligar into Tsareena. Opponent is going to save switch into Quagsire. I can farm up a ton of energy, switch into the Ferrothorn. I do not get the Stone Edge catch. But the nice thing is, this is the non-Shadow Quag, so I can take multiple Mud Bombs. They're firing off another Mud Bomb, perfectly fine by me. And I've saved a ton of energy on Gligar, and Gligar's energy, having that flying and ground coverage, is usually pretty good into whatever the opponent may have. Power Whip is going to get the knockout. Opponent can send back in Tsareena here. And Tsareena, of course, did get a new move itself. It got access to Triple Axle, which is an ice move. So, considering that I have Gligar, I definitely have to be careful of that. Opponent goes for the Triple Axle. Ferrothorn able to hang on with a sliver of HP and make it to the Power Whip. Power Whip is resisted, but it gets some valuable chip damage. And now all the energy that I stored from earlier can be used to grab shields from the opponent. Aerial Ace will pressure a shield. Opponent trying to make it to the Triple Axle, but Gligar's energy lead is insurmountable. Aerial Ace gets the KO in the back. It's Wall Rain. That is a nightmare for Gligar, but the good news is I have Sableye up a shield, so I can win this game. opponent goes for the Icicle Spear. Their only hope is now to try and farm down, but unfortunately, that's not going to be able to happen. I'm firing off the Foul Play. That will get the shield. Opponent looking for the farm down, but Sableye able to make it to another Foul Play. This Foul Play will not KO, but it does more than enough, and Sableye farms down the Walrein. All in all, I think Shadow Gligar is an incredible addition. Aerial Ace is now, honestly, an okay move. Before, it was terrible. Now, it's actually a usable move. And on top of that, the massive rework to Dig means that Gligar, not only is it very bulky, but it's also very quick to charge moves and can actually deal some pretty decent damage. So now that Noctowl has been nerfed and knocked off its perch as the King Flyer, I would say the two flying types that probably have the best case at being the new top flyer are going to be either Shadow Gligar or Mandibuzz. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.